Hey, how's it going? So I've come back from having like the most brilliant Christmas ever. So the difference between the person that I was like a few days ago, like before Christmas, and the person that I am now, it feels almost like a split. Like honestly, to the point where I came back and the little girl was popping off again, and I was just like, I mean, it's annoying, but all right. I mean, it's just a kid doing kid shit. So I didn't think anything too much of it, but what really got to me was when the mum just, guys, she is just so fed up. She is so fed up. She is so stressed out. And it's just like, I don't want to feel sorry for her, but I can't help it. She's just fed up of the whole fucking thing. And it's just like, I've gone from wanting to kick her ass to being just like, she's tried everything. I don't know what more she can do. I don't know what more she can do to try to like fucking de-escalate the situation. I don't know what more she can do at this point. She's clearly at her wit's end. She's clearly going through a lot of shit. So for me, I just feel like I don't feel like being her ass anymore. I feel sorry for her now. I shouldn't, because I'm going through a lot worse than she is, but it just I can't. I can't find it in me to be angry with her anymore because she doesn't want any of this. And I knew when she first came down here, like I knew what was going on. I knew that this is a situation that she was forced into, that she's trying to get out of. She understands the severity of the situation. And right now, she's just trying to think of the best way through it. I get it now. Now I'm kind of like, shit. It is not an easy situation for anybody, because the thing is, at the end of the day, now everybody knows that everything that I was saying was true. And you know, I forget sometimes that, like, when I'm talking about this, I'm thinking that no one cares. So I don't give a fuck how I deliver it. I don't give a fuck how I tell people the truth. I just say it. And if it hurts, good. But then when it actually hits people, it makes you realize, like, fuck. And even when you know it's not your fault, even when you know it's not really your fault and you're just telling the truth about what you're going through, like, some people, it just completely just turns their world upside down once they find out exactly how bad things are. And it's horrible. It is a horrible situation to be in. I mean, with me, I know the truth. Like, I've been knowing it for like over a decade now. And as rough as it's been, knowing the truth in the end is better for me than not knowing. So I have the opportunity to actually know myself as myself, because I'm not being, well, I'm being lied to, but I know the truth. So it's like, because I know the truth and what's going on with me and what's been happening to me, because I know what's happened, it's like it gives me an opportunity to know who I am and what makes me tick. And but there are people who are just so focused on just trying to survive, they don't get the room to do that. So when you find out that, yeah, people are being tortured to death covertly by their own government, when you find out that, yes, this has been happening, it's like somebody pulled the fucking floor from underneath you. I can't find it in me to be angry with that. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to feel. That's fucking horrible. It's a horrible thing to feel like that. Like, it's a horrible thing to feel. So the mother's having to put up with that. And on top of a stupid kid who just thinks everything is about whether or not some fucking woman she doesn't know hates her or not. And it's like, I just feel sorry for everybody right now. Like, I'm not even angry anymore. It's just a really horrible situation for everybody involved. And you know the mother's vulnerable. You know she's fucking vulnerable. She's got mental health issues and she's got addiction issues. She's clearly got addiction issues. And then on top of that, imagine going through all of that and some fucking dickhead comes to you and says, we need you to start a fight with this person. We need you to try and get them section. We need you to try and do this. You're already going through the fucking mill as it is, right? So somebody comes along and asks you to do that shit. And you're a mother as well, so you got to get your kids involved. Like, I was spending so long thinking about how it made me feel. I didn't even once think about how they were feeling. And I know what you're going to say to me. You know, just, you know, you shouldn't feel sorry for them. And then just, listen, I don't like those people, but they're human. I don't like those people, but they're human beings. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. These people are, you know, I've called them demons, I've called them animals, but the truth is they're not that. They're not that at all. They're human beings. They're not just some fucking one-dimensional cartoon. They're fucking human beings. And so am I. Who really has to answer for this is Gail from Millview. Now, I'm going to have a talk with this woman as soon as Millview opens again. Because that bitch literally called some of my relatives up. Because the doctors refused to section me. The doctors came over to see me. And they refused to section me. Right? So what this woman did was she called my father up, begging him for permission to section me. I'm not going to tell you what he decided to do because that's his business, okay? But the fact that she will call up somebody that is vulnerable to try to spin as if the targeted individual thing was a lie, to try to spin as if me hearing voices was accurate. I don't hear fucking voices. That was a fucking lie. To try to spin an ordinary neighborhood feud situation in which I wanted to beat the mum's ass, yes I did, into a whole fucking circus of, oh, oh, I want to, it just turning it into taking it out of context and turning it into something that it didn't need to be turned into. And she did that on purpose in order to try to stop me, try to stop the truth coming out. She did that strategically. Evil. In comparison to her, that family, that fucking family, are a bunch of choir children up there. You want to know what real evil is? That's real evil. When you know somebody's being tortured to death and you do your research and you research into everything that's going on, and upon hearing that you know friends who have been murdered for other people trying to keep this a secret, you think your solution to that is to section that person. You're full of shit. Now, the mum fucked up. This one fucked up because she called mental health at a time where she didn't need to call them. She could have called them when I banged on the door twice. That's when she could have called them and said, look, I'm worried about this woman's mental health. She might be violent. You could have called them then. I wanted to be sectioned at that point, so you could have called them then. But you decided to call only when you were sick of me cussing out your family. You fucked up. You did fuck up. I'm not gonna hold you. You fucked up. But at the end of the day, right, I'm just surprised that, mental health weren't called on me sooner. I'm surprised that didn't happen. Because normally mental health are the first people, like the first person a perp will call is an ambulance. That's the first person they'll usually call. It's not going to be police. But so, she fucked up. But at the end of the day, just because she did that, it doesn't mean she knew what would happen. I can't say that she's not entirely evil, because the thing is, she literally wanted me to be chemically lobotomized and sectioned for fucking talking shit about her family. So no, she's not a good person. But in comparison to that those people at mental health, she's a saint. She's a fucking saint. And she's fucking traumatized as it is. They all are. All them fucking adults, all the people who know exactly what's going on and know how serious the situation is, they're traumatized as shit. Why would I want to add to that? I'm not adding to it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to add to that. That's not fair. That's not fair. And yeah, what's going on with me is not fair either. It's beyond not fair. I get it. But hard times make tough people sometimes. Let them do their thing. It's got nothing to do with whether or not the mental health want to section me. It's why they want to do it. Why didn't you do it when you knew things were going tits up? Like the police had been called over here. Why didn't you do it then? Why are you doing it now? Now that you're scared that everything that I might be saying might be the truth. That's low. That's low. That's low, man. You don't do things like that. So, for me, I mean, I knew this already, but that family, like I said, they're not good people, but they're not the main people that we have to worry about here. They never were. It's just that when you're in it and it's constant and it's you don't have context, you become single-minded on that one thing, like the harassment and stuff. You become single-minded on it so much to the point where you kind of lose perspective. And being away from here for a couple of days, it made me realize, actually, you know what, this is just a very difficult situation for every fucking one to be in. This is just a difficult situation for everybody to be in. So, yeah, I mean, I think Gail was probably talking to the mum anyway, trying to get the mum to sort of make sure I didn't leave the flat, or basically try to subtly engineer shit. I think Gail from mental health has been talking in her ear, but I don't know for sure. That's just conjecture. That's just conjecture. But listen, man, when I tell you that mum's just been through fucking it. I came home today, and because I was so happy, like, even when the little girl popped off, I didn't care. I thought it was annoying, but like, this shit is just doing a mum's nut. Like, it's doing her nut. It's doing a fucking nut, man. He's doing everyone's nut. Everyone's sick of it. It's like, and she's just a kid as well. And I'm thinking like, oh, I at first I took a hard line with it. I was saying, oh, everybody's blaming her. She's only a kid. And like, I didn't have time for that shit. I don't like the kid, but I didn't like the fact that everybody was blaming her. Because at the end of the day, she might not be a good person, but she's still a child. She's still forming. She's still learning, right? And my concern is that me saying I hated her the way that I have been, because I've been real reckless with my fucking mouth, me saying that I've hated her as much as I have, that's probably going to affect her for the rest of her life. Everybody kind of trying to, I mean, it's like, it's not that nobody understands what the kid is going through. Everybody gets it, right? But it's like, when you're dealing with a child who just doesn't listen and stuff, it's like, because I've been that kid, so I understand what everybody's frustration is, right? It's like, when you're dealing with a child who can only feel one emotion at a time, and you don't see anything else, or you don't see anyone else, so you don't really have perspective, and especially not when you're a kid. So it doesn't matter how much everybody tells you, you're still not going to get it, because in that moment you're only feeling one emotion at a time, and you can't, because you're a kid, you can't properly articulate it yet. And I think that everybody gets that, but they're also seeing the other stuff too. They're seeing stuff that the kid is not seeing. So whilst I still maintain that she's a kid and that people really shouldn't be blaming her like that, and I definitely shouldn't be cussing her out like that, I get the frustration. I get the frustration. There are just things that, like, there are things that everybody else is seeing that she's not seeing, because all she can see is how she feels. And this is the thing, that's the thing when you're a kid. All you can see is how you feel. She doesn't know about, I literally called her a murderer. I'm like, damn, like, to say that to a kid, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. In the worst way. It's awful. And I'm sure that, that little girl didn't fucking think in her mind that, her talking shit was just going to lead to someone dying. Like, and even if she was, she didn't need to hear that shit. That's fucked up. She didn't need to hear that shit. Didn't need to hear that. That was just I mean, yes, I am being basically murdered. I'm being tortured to death, but like, again, the kid doesn't know that. So imagine hearing that shit. Fucked up. Fucked up. Just fucked up. But again, she can't see everything. So how's she gonna know? But I get that. I get the adults' frustration as well. Like, it's difficult. I get their frustration as well. Because it's like you can see everything that's going on. And let me tell you something. Those people are scared. And they should be. Because the people who told them to do this, that, and the third, they're awful people. They are awful, awful, awful people. Not the family, but the people who coerce the family into doing whatever it is they're trying to do to me. Those people who coerce them, not good people. They are not good people at all. So I get it. I get why they're scared. And all the things that are being done to me, that is nothing compared to what some other TIs go through. Nothing. The reason why I'm not getting shit, I've had bad shit, don't get me wrong, but the reason why my shit isn't as bad as some other TIs is, one, because of my connections, and two, because I won't shut my fucking mouth. That's why. That's why I haven't been targeted as much. Like, for me, it's always been the threat of something that's always been worse than the thing actually happening. Like, the threat of being sectioned is actually worse than actually being sectioned. I've been sectioned. The threat of something happening to you is always worse than the reality. People always threaten you with shit, and there's like a 4% chance of that thing being like as bad as people say it is, or even worse than that. Like a 4% chance on average. That's a hell of a low percentage. But it was always the threats that bothered me. It was always threats. And when you're constantly being harassed, people don't understand what that does to you. Sometimes the expectation of something happening can be worse than it actually happening. People don't understand. I've been beaten up before. I've been beaten up before. But when I look back throughout my life, the threat of getting my ass kicked was like way worse than actually getting my ass kicked. After that happened, I'm like, okay, is that it? I mean, even with the police brutality and stuff like that, I got over what the police actually did to me a lot faster than what they actually said. I got over shit a lot more when they actually put hands on me than, I don't know, them knocking loudly at the door in order to play tit for tat and be accusatory. It's the anticipation of something that hurts more than the reality. That's why, like, on some real shit, I don't give a fuck if they section me or not. Because the last time I was in the hospital, I made friends. People didn't want me to leave. And I'm not talking about the staff. I'm talking about the patients that were in there. They didn't want me to leave. They liked me. I got on well with people. The only people I didn't get on well with were perps. I got on well with everybody. I was intelligent. I was insightful when it came to therapy. I knew what the fuck I was, knew that what the fuck I was there for. When it came to the medications, I took the medications. The only problem that the doctors really had with me is that I kept talking about targeted individuals and I wouldn't stop talking about it. No way around that. There wasn't any way around that with me, and they knew it. The threat is always worse than the reality. Once you pass through certain things, they don't bother you no more because you've been through it. Like that incident in May, June, the only reason I still talk about it is because it's integral to, what I talk about when I talk about Havana syndrome. That's the only reason I even mention it. But the fact that I've been through that and I've been through that pain and I was still alive at the end of it, that makes me feel like, okay, well, that sucked. But I know for a fucking fact I can handle it because that happened to me. So that's what that family are constantly living through every single fucking day. The threat of something happening, the threat of something happening, the threat. What do you think that does to your nervous system? And for that matter, when you get insulted all the time, it leaves the same effect inside your body. Even if somebody is insulting you and they have no intention of putting hands on you, it's still a threat. The body still recognizes it as a threat. There's no distinction. The body still recognizes it as a threat. There's no distinction. There's no distinction between somebody cussing your ass out and somebody, and you thinking that they're going to hit you. You might know the difference, but your body doesn't. So, yeah. And that's what them people up there had to live with me. Not even just the threat to beat their ass, but me cussing them out constantly. Even though they weren't threatened most of the time, the fact that I was cussing them out like that, it had the same effect as a threat. And then on top of that, with the family coming after me, like, this is why psychological torture is an important part of the targeting. It's because it gives you the feeling of being threatened all the time. It gives your body that feeling of being threatened all the time. Your cortisol is raised all the time. Your adrenaline is raised all the time. And over time, that deteriorates your immune system. That deteriorates your physical body, your nerves, all of that. Because you constantly feel like you're under threat. And people don't appreciate that. They like to say that, oh, if you're you take insults too seriously with that. Your body doesn't know the fucking difference. It doesn't matter whether you know cognitively. Your body doesn't. That's why it's important to be kind to people. And I know it's pretty fucking rich coming from me, given all the shit that I've been saying about people. But that's why it's important to fucking be kind to people. Because when you're not, your body doesn't know the difference between a fucking threat and somebody who's just cussing you out. And living under constant threat, it affects people differently. Some people turn out to be violent. Some people turn out to be very, very submissive. But living under the constant threat of danger all the time, what does that do to you psychologically? Or feeling with your body having the same effect of feeling like you're being threatened? And imagine this. Imagine you're being insulted all the time by people who have no intention of harming you. Your body can't tell the difference, but you can. What does that do to your psyche? That's why this psychological torture is integral to the gang stalking campaigns. Your body doesn't know the difference and your body will respond accordingly. So everything that's being done to you is to ascertain how you would respond under constant threat. The effect that they're going for, the effect that this social experimentation is going for, is to completely render you broken to the point where you don't even want to retaliate. That's the point of the torture. Imagine the targeting, and then imagine that on a level where you can maybe do that to a small country. If you're a larger country and you have access to this technology and this social engineering, imagine what you could do to smaller countries. Imagine what you could do to marginalized countries. Imagine what you could do to countries with rich resources and impoverished in education. Imagine what you could do then. So yeah, again, this is not just about one family. And like I said, the mother's fucking going through it. I ain't trying to kick her ass on top of that. The fuck? She's going through it, man. I'm not trying to do that. Don't like them people, but at the end of the day, again, they're human. We're all just human beings doing the best that we can, but there are some people who, once they hear the truth, sometimes the truth can feel like a threat to the body. This is what happens when you lie to yourself all too often. This is what happens when you lie to yourself all too often. The truth can feel like the truth can feel like an insult, which feels like a threat, and your body doesn't know the difference. So, yeah. And there was about to be some BS from mental health. I'll talk to them tomorrow. If I can't get through to them tomorrow, I'll talk to them on Tuesday. I want them to explain themselves to me. Because I have evidence on them. I want them to explain themselves. Why they're going behind the doctor's back and my back to try to section me. They better have a damn good explanation. So, anyway, I love you guys. You take care. Bye-bye.